Hello everyone, Lucifer's final season just arrived on Netflix and it was one hell of an ending. Lucifer, of course, is based on the DC Vertigo comic and was originally on Fox Network for 3 seasons before moving to Netflix in the last 3 seasons. We recently just had seasons 5A and B, and this actually continues where it left off. Last season finished with Michael and Lucifer fighting for the throne of heaven, and Lucifer, in essence, becoming God. Now, this one begins in a very different way, and they kind of go in a very different direction than you're expecting. But overall, I love the opening with him driving his car. Very much mirrors the opening of the pilot. There's a lot of great callbacks to the earlier seasons. And they do a great job at having a retrospective and giving each character their own due for this final season. And overall, it does go in a different type of direction than you're expecting. He is God, but is Lucifer actually ready to be God? And he has a certain complex he must overcome, and he must find his certain calling and kind of like purpose in his life. But that doesn't mean there aren't any more surprises. There's some curveballs thrown in this season. I'm not going to go too much into spoilers. I'll talk about spoilers at the end of this review. But if you don't know anything about this season, if you haven't seen the trailer, go in blind because there are sure some surprises. And I did have certain theories at the beginning of the show, like what would happen if Chloe and Lucifer got together. What could happen? And if you read the Bible, there's certain things you can kind of piece together. But overall, I like it. And we get to see Aminadel become a police officer, and that stuff is really good. We get to see more of the social injustice we saw from last year, and then knowing how this police force is kind of corrupt, which kind of goes back to the first season in many ways. And overall, Chloe and Lucifer, I love their relationship. It's moving this year. They make the show. We also get to have some funny stuff with Mazikeen and Eve being together. And even though it is funny, for me, that was like the most boring part of this season. I didn't really like their story that much. I just lost interest. I just want to see more of Lucifer and Chloe. And they also find a way to use Dan in a very different way than you're expecting, because, he died. So it's really cool what they do with Dan, and his stuff, again, is emotional. And speaking of Kevin Alejandro and D.B. Woodside, they both direct some episodes of this. We also have Miss Lopez. She gets more to do, and there's certain revelations with her and with Lucifer's character and like the whole cast, really. Overall, I really love this season. You expect it to be like a biblical, like end of the world scenario, It's not as epic as the last 2 seasons, but I would say it's probably the most moving season. Definitely up there with like Dan's death episode. Like the whole season kind of feels like that. Even though you have moments of levity, it's a very emotional season and a fitting end for this type of show. Overall, I'm going to really miss this show. You just want more. After seeing this wonderful cast the past 6 years, you really want to see more from them. And, it is what it is. This is it. Everything that has a beginning has an end. And I have to say it was one hell of an ending. Goes in directions that you're not expecting, but overall, it was satisfying. And if this ever came out on Blu-ray for a complete series, I would be tempted to buy it. Like, seriously. Tom Ellis totally owned the role of Lucifer. And what can I say? It's very rare for a show to have somewhat of a decent ending. And this one had a pretty good ending. So if you are a fan of Lucifer, any Lucifer fans, check this out. Let me know your thoughts. I don't think you'll be disappointed. There may be some directions you wanted the show to go in. They could have done some really cool stuff because it does kind of end. But overall, I think you're going to be satisfied. And I just love that they paid homage and respect to the previous years and really had a nice way of wrapping things for every single character. If you haven't seen Lucifer, I highly recommend checking it out and reading the graphic novels. They're a bit different than the show. The show took some embellishments and liberations, but go ahead and check out the graphic novel. Overall, if I had to give this a score, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. It was excellent, and I love the 10-episode length. 10 episodes is solid, much like Season 4. It was a perfect length. You can get it done this weekend. It's amazing. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Now, for those who want to stay or have seen it, spoilers. The fact that Chloe and Lucifer had a daughter from the future that self-actualized herself time traveling was nuts. I thought they were going to pull the Antichrist angle. I really thought that's who she was going to be, because she's almost set up like a villain. But then you're just like, why would Lucifer leave? And it's just emotional because like she's judging them based on stuff that hasn't happened yet. Very, very much it kind of reminds me of Terminator, and I just love the relationship there. You can see the respect she has for Chloe, but in many ways, the sins of the father are on the daughter, and Lucifer's daughter is pretty much like him. You know, Rory is just like Lucifer, and most often with parents and children, if they're alike, they're going to butt heads, they're going to clash, and we see that. And it's kind of hard seeing Lucifer having to deal with that. Like, he wasn't around for his daughter. Like, he basically became his father in an indirect way, and it just amazes me the story they did there. Again, I love Amenadel being a police officer, seeing that officer that that basically pointed a gun at him in the last season. I love seeing the corruption there. That also ties back a little bit to season 1. Seeing that bloody Frenchman though that killed Dan back, and then having like Lucifer's daughter threatened, just like really ticked me off. Like, there's certain characters that you just hate, and that whole finale had my heart beating, had me moving. I mean, there's many moments where I almost teared up. I did like seeing Adam, show up to Eve and Mazikeen's wedding. You know, I didn't really like that story too much. I felt like they focused too much on her. I don't mean, it was funny. I like their antics, but it's just like I want Dexter. Like, that's all I care about. But I love seeing Adam and them kind of deal with like toxic masculinity in many ways. I love seeing Linda's book. She basically wrote like sympathy for the devil, you know, of like Lucifer's therapy sessions. It was made into a book. I love what they did there. I love Dan being a ghost. That was kind of different and kind of sad in many ways, but that was so moving, seeing him talk to Trixie in another person's body and then finding the light. I love the ending. That ending was so emotional, seeing Chloe die as an old woman with a daughter realizing that she set herself in a time loop and why her parents did what they did. Seeing Dan and is it Margaret? I'm trying to remember her name. The one that played Lucifer's mom. Seeing them back in heaven was great. I may have got the name wrong. Let me know down in the comments below, but I love it. And then seeing Amenadel kind of appoint other angels. They're all are kind of like God. I love that he was at the throne. And then, of course, their kid having wings. You know, he's a celestial, so that's really cool. The father-daughter moments really moved me, and you're just like, wow, you don't want Lucifer to go through that day, but you can't avoid fate. But after all, what is fate but the consequences of our choice, you know? And yeah, that's all I can say about it right now. As far as spoiler territory, overall, they could have gone in many different, like, more epic kind of heaven and hell directions, but I find it satisfying, and I love the ending of, like, you could use a partner and then the door closed. That was a perfect closing, because like last year almost felt more like a final season as far as a weight, but this was more emotionally moving. And even with Chloe and that the blade, the dagger, her almost getting corrupted by the strength, it reminded me very much of Lord of the Rings, you know. And I really thought she was the one that was going to kill Lucifer or something. Like, it really moved me. And then Miss Lopez, of course, knowing all along that he is the real devil, and then like kind of like coming out and like telling people like, hey, you left me out and I figured it out, you know. So that was kind of cool. Overall, I love that each character got their send-offs, and what can I say, I'm definitely going to probably buy this on Blu-ray in a complete series. So yeah, I think that's it for spoilers. There's probably much more. Let me know down in the comments below, what did you think of this season? What is your favorite seasons of Lucifer? Mine are probably 1 and 4. They're still my 2 favorite seasons, but this one's definitely there. Let me know down in the comments below. Feel free to subscribe and check out these other videos for more content. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Till next time.